Bea, and today I'm going to share 3 knitting techniques that will make you a better knitter and take your knitting to the next level. The first technique is duplicate stitch. If you don't know how to do it, then I have a tutorial that I made recently and I will link it up in the YouTube card or in the description down below. Why do I think this is important and will evidently make you a better knitter? When you are knitting, what you basically do is that you create loops that are intertwined with each other. When you know how to duplicate stitch, it will give you a better understanding of how the yarn and the thread goes when you are creating your fabric, which will give you also a better understanding of the basics of how the fabric is created. This can be helpful when you make a mistake, which happens to me quite a lot. And for example, when you drop a stitch, or when you have to rip out your needle because you want to rip back, or if you want to twist a stitch or distort your fabric in any way, then it's super helpful when you just know how the fabric is created, and it makes it much easier to detect and see and deal with when anything is not the way that it's supposed to be. Also, mending small holes, for example, is getting much easier when you know how to follow the stitches, and I also have a tutorial for that I can link above and below. The second technique that will make you a better knitter is cabling without a cable needle. The very first project that I made with cables was a cowl with cables on it. And I think the traditional way to learning cables when you first do it is that you are taking a cable needle and that you put some stitches on your cable needle, and then you hold it either in front or in the back of your fabric. Then you would knit the stitches on your left hand side needle, and then you are knitting the stitches that you have put aside on your cable needle. And then you have crossed a few stitches in the front or in the back. When I knitted my quadrillion, I learned how to do it without the cable needle, but by just twisting the stitches on the 2 needles that you are working with. And I learned that from a tutorial from Pom Pom magazine. Why do I think this will make you a better knitter? Because for me, it was first then when I didn't use a cable needle anymore that I really understand what taking some stitches in the front or taking them in the back would really do to your fabric. So for example, after I had learned this, I really understood when I was reading a diagram. I just had to look at the symbol and then I understood, okay, so it's a left cabling cable, then I have to put the stitches to the front. And I didn't have to go back and look at the legend anymore to figure out what kind of cable I had to do. I could just tell from the symbol how many stitches and in what way you had to cable. And of course, evidently, I think it makes just get going much easier. So for example, if you would want to start a project that has cables in it, it gets easier. It gets easier to read diagrams. It gets easier to create your own cables, and just in general to be more creative and to get a better understanding of your knitting. And finally, and this is not too much of a technique but rather something that you can practice, is to read knitting patterns and try to understand them. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine was talking about a specific pattern, and then she said that she really would like to read the pattern. And then I was thinking, every time that I have tried to read a pattern, it just didn't say anything to me. I didn't understand anything. I didn't know what to do. It was just blurring characters in front of my eyes. When I got the latest issue of Pom Pom magazine, I saw this beautiful sweater on the front page and I was quite curious on how it was knitted. And then I thought about my friend and thought, oh well, okay, I can just try to read the pattern. What I did is that I read it and I really tried to visualize with every step that I was reading what this would do to the fabric, and also what the fabric would look like or what the piece of knitting would look like when I had finished this step. And it worked, I was so happy. It was the first time that I was really reading through a whole pattern and that I could understand what it said, and that I thought, oh well, okay, I understand how this garment in that case was created. Why will it make you a better knitter? Because now I feel like I could read a pattern and I don't necessarily have to knit the whole thing in order to learn something new. Of course, if I were to knit the sweater, then of course I would understand even better what was going on, and I mean, just understanding in your head and then doing it with your hands is quite a different thing. But still, I feel like that I'm more able to get a better understanding of new techniques and learn something new without having to knit the whole thing, which of course is much faster to read a pattern than to knit the whole sweater. So to summarize, and I guess you have understood that, I really think that it helps you with your knitting when you are able to understand things. For example, the pattern thing. Before, quite a lot of times I have knitted something and then I didn't understand when I read, and then I just followed the steps, and then after that I had knitted, I had almost already forgotten what I've done because I wasn't able to actually comprehend it. And all of these techniques will help you to better understand what you are doing, which helps you that when you are learning new things, that it will stick better with you and you can take your knitting to the next level. I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, I would be happy if you would want to give me a like, or if you want to hit the subscribe button. I'm also curious if you have any knitting techniques that you felt made you a better knitter, that gave you a better understanding of what you were doing. If so, please leave a comment down below. I would be really happy to read, and I also want to learn new things all of the time. And I love those techniques that are not only a new technique that you can use to do a certain step or a certain thing, that will give you a better understanding of what you are doing overall. And again, thanks for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye bye!